Welcome to Your Next Level Now with your host, Bob Donnell. As a human behaviorist, Bob has helped people from every walk of life reach their next level, both personally and professionally. Whether a celebrity, professional athlete, or entrepreneur, Bob has helped them align their behavior with their desired result in their life and career. This is Your Next Level Now with Bob Donnell.
Guys, you're welcome to stay off camera right now, and this is going to allow us to record and have just the two speakers speaking on camera. At the end, I'll open it up for Q&A for those of you that are members. So if you're a member, you'll be able to ask questions, and we'll get your input from there. So that being said, let me just ask you this: who here has ever been hypnotized? And who here has ever been to a hypnotist for other than entertainment purposes? Those are two different things, right? There's an entertainment value, and then there's another value that may help you break through a phobia, may help you break through stage fright, may help you break through a lot of different things that are maybe holding people back. The reason I mention that is because our guest tonight, Jim Lutes, is a master hypnotist. I mean, he has probably forgotten more about hypnotism than most people will ever know. And but not only that, but he's used it for so many different aspects of his life, for him personally, for him professionally, for helping other people deal with obstacles in their life. And I think when you talk to him, you're going to realize that hypnotism is not this voodoo or a thing. It's a life practice that you can engage in to further your ability to communicate with one another, to influence each other, and to really help each other get through some of the toughest times. And I want to jump right into the deep end. Jim, I've known you for, I don't know, since about 2010, 2011. Mm-hmm. And I've always been impressed with your demeanor and your ability to communicate with people, but not because of your skill set, but because of who you are when you're doing it. You always approach the conversation with, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I be of service? And I love that aspect. But, I didn't know something until about 5 years, or until, maybe 6 years ago, about that you had a medical scare. And then I didn't realize the depth of that until right before this call, and you and I are having a conversation. Can you kind of break down what happened 6 years ago? Was that about 6?
6 years, yeah. So, I look at life as being just a collective of transitions, whether that be relationships, emotional health, money, or whether that be relationships, money, emotions, and health. So when all those are functioning in concert with each other, then you have a certain engagement of flow. If any of them get out of sync, then they affect the others. So I believe that my background and my skill sets prepared me unintentionally for things that can be handed to you. I think that to expedite the journey through these transitions that aren't so happy all the time, the better prepared you are. It's no different than learning self-defense. The better prepared you are for something. So I look at that from a positive, that, maybe my work and my commitment to the human mind and all of the facets and modalities that are encompassed by it prepared me. So a healthy guy, not a big drinker, might have a margarita now and then, but, never smoked, did everything, right. And so to encapsulate it, I had this weird feeling back here 6 years ago. And so I don't know, it feels weird back here. And so I went to the doctor, and they said, "Oh, stress." I go, "I don't really stress." Okay. So I went to another doctor, and they found something wrong. I had a very rare condition. Of course, Bob, I can't have a common condition. I have to have like one of the rarest conditions. And so I said, "Okay, what do we do? I mean, what is it? Take an antibiotic with it." And I said, "Well, 50-50 survival chance, risky brain surgery." Oh, come on. I mean, brain surgery? I mean, can't you do, really? It's like, who the heck has that? And so long story short, no doctor in California could perform the surgery. They were willing to give it a shot, but give it a shot really wasn't what I was looking for. So the guy that was the expert was in Pittsburgh. So I packed a bag, I went by myself, and I went to Pittsburgh, and I said, if this is my transition out, then, I've had a good run. And so I went there, woke up, boom, feel great, fantastic. They glued me back together, and I feel great. And I came back to San Diego, And 6 weeks later, I was in the kitchen making a green drink because I'm healthy. I was making a green drink and I fell over dead from a massive heart attack. Like if there wasn't a friend of mine over, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So they rushed me off over to, took me down 38 floors in the high rise and rushed me over to UCSD Medical Center. I had emergency heart surgery. So I had brain surgery, a heart attack, and heart surgery in 6 weeks. And I said, okay, well, either I'm really prepared for the next thing or, is that it? Because I'm good now. And so I'm fine now, clean bill of health. I like to think that my own incorporation of psychoneuroimmunology, which is mind-body connection, facilitated a healing along with allopathic and alternative protocols as well. I don't take any meds. I work out every day. So it really created one thing for me. And I know a lot of the people I can tell on here have it. I used to be a very compassionate person and I still am. But I wasn't sure if I was a real empathetic person. Empathy means you can relate to. So now if somebody has cancer or lupus or, Crohn's disease or, broken thigh or whatever it is, I can start to tear up because I get it. I get it what it's like when you're not healthy. Yeah. And so it's a completely different dynamic coming from an experiential background.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. For the last 6 years, what would you say has been the gift of that? The empathy?
Yeah, the empathy is the gift. I've always had gratitude, but I think the two gifts are empathy, which allows even a greater depth of relatability and know, like, and trust and rapport building with people because they know that you're transparent and authentic. And then the other part of it is, I know it sounds cliche, but once you're laying there and they say you might not make it, then then they leave, and then you're sitting in this room by yourself, a dark room with this beep, 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 and you have a lot of process time going, really? I mean, this is it? And so you have to really come to terms with that. And so I think that in a positive way, it eliminated all fear. I have no fear. I've been on the precipice already. So what else can happen? So I really don't have any fear. And I think that comes across as the ability to share strength with those that may not have it during that point in their life. I mean, even a boxer's a tough guy, right? I mean, he gets hit enough times, he drops to his knees.
Right.
And so you never know what life hits you with. It could be anything. It could be health, could be relationships, finances. And so the empathy translates into, hey, I'm a pretty strong guy. You can borrow some of my strength until you get back.
I love that. I've never heard anyone say it quite that way, that you can borrow some of my strength. Wow. I think, isn't that interesting? Would you agree that if they can borrow your strength, if we can borrow your strength that you've built up through these experiences, could we also borrow your tenacity, borrow your perseverance?
You can, but you can borrow it from yourself. So you don't really need to look at the external. So confidence, perseverance, tenacity, vision, drive, focus, those are all inherent traits that exist in all of us. So somebody may not be confident; they can speak in front of an audience, but they're really confident that they can make a damn good chicken fettuccine. So if they can make a damn good chicken fettuccine, then that is confidence. So that confidence is a subjective emotion that can be attached. So if you're using hypnosis or psychosomatic parenthetics or neurolinguistics, you can borrow it within yourself and move it to the present and move it to the future, because the brain cannot differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. So confidence is confidence. So you can go back and borrow it from yourself. Conversely, you can eliminate things that are holding you back. I call it releasing the brakes, because we accumulate those bricks in that backpack. The longer we live, the more under the burden we are of something from 10 years ago or 5 years ago or a year from now, or a year ago. So if you're able to just free up that strength, see, so many people, they attempt to gain more strength. In other words, but you gain more strength automatically if you take the backpack off with all the bricks in it. Enough strength already, but it's just you're under this tenacious burden of usually up here. Unless it's a physical issue, usually up here, you're under this burden, and then that has an insidious cognitive effect on people. So it really is releasing the brakes. You're driving the car with one foot on the brake pedal and one foot on the accelerator.
What a great illustration, analogy. When I think of hypnosis, I think of as a little kid going and watching the show, right? Yeah. And I guess when I was a kid, I thought, wow, that's really cool. But I thought of it more as trickery. As I grew older, I started watching people, and then I saw it from a different perspective, and I saw it from a show being even bigger than that, but then also finding out that it could be useful for so many people in everyday life. It was obviously helpful for you through everything you've been through. What have you seen as being a great event that transpired because of somebody doing the work? I'm not talking about going to a magic show. I'm talking about doing the work with a hypnotist. What's maybe one of the biggest things that you've helped somebody overcome or get through?
Well, it's the ripple, it's the pebble in the pond. If I can make this individual, I can double their self-esteem, double their self-image, double their self-confidence, then you've opened so many doors. I mean, you've opened the door to an entrepreneur that was scared to be an entrepreneur. You've opened the door to a person that went through 5 poor relationships to finding love again. So you're strengthening them. That opens up, a myriad of doors. Hypnosis is, and I, like you, we're readers of the personal development, self-empowerment genre, and so I've been doing that since I was in my 20s. So I went to a party in Del Mar. Really, that's how I got into hypnosis. So I went to a party in Del Mar, and there was a hypnotist there, the funny kind.
Okay.
And he was at a birthday party, and he's, sticking people's hands to the wall and, making them forget their name and sing and all that stuff. But he kept mentioning the subconscious mind. He kept mentioning it over and over and over, and serendipitously, everything I'm reading, from, the classics, Claude Bristol, Magic of Believing, on and on, all those classics, Psycho-Cybernetics, all of those kept mentioning the subconscious mind. So I connected the two, and I said, that's what these books are talking about. He's just doing something different with it, right? If he can make that woman sing like Madonna, then I'm sure he could make her confident. And so I connected it. So I go, okay, guy, where do you learn this? He goes, people teach it. Well, I said, well, no kidding. I mean, I didn't think, he downloaded it from, somewhere. So I said, who teaches it? He goes, who's the best in the world? And he said, there's a guy named Gil Boyne in Los Angeles, and he is unarguably the best hypnotist in the world. I said, great. It wasn't in Atlanta because I'm in San Diego. So I drove up, I met Gil. I was tenacious. I want to learn from him. He goes, I don't take private students. I go, well, you do now. And he liked that, assertiveness. So we became good friends, and he trained me for, almost a year. And then you're it's like learning a golf swing. Great. Now you know how to do it, but you're not going to go on the PGA Tour. But I am very tenacious, so I just literally started practicing, with groups and individuals until I got it going. And then I discovered I didn't know what I didn't know, because Gil hypnotized Sylvester Stallone prior to the Rocky movies because he was scared. I didn't know that Princess Diana used hypnosis. Matt Damon used hypnosis. Sean Connery used hypnosis. Jimmy Connors, the tennis player, used hypnosis. Madonna used hypnosis. On and on. Mike Tyson has videos out there saying that they were using hypnosis on him since he was 17, and it was a huge contributing factor to him becoming a world champion. I didn't know that. So we don't know what we don't know. But the good news is that with social media, that legitimizes what I do, because it's not, over in the weird category like it was, when I started.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of, people that have done huge business deals, transactions, all of that stuff. What do you think is the key for someone using hypnosis to be able to get through some of these big hurdles?
The key is to make sure for these types of individuals, world poker champions, MMA champion, business people, 2 things. Number one, they know that they can accomplish everything they want academically or have, or in business. They know that the final frontier is really up here. They said, okay, what's the only axe left to sharpen? Is this up here? Right. How good can I get up here? And a lot of times it's self-sabotage. A lot of times, they have an off ramp. So if I were to ask somebody, can you see yourself making $5,000 a month? Okay. You can imagine it. Great. Can you see yourself making 10? Sure. 20? Yeah. 50? Well, I don't know. Why that answer? Like, why was there an off ramp there? Like, what's your, just regarding income, what is your number? How come you can see yourself making 20 but not 50, or 50 but not 100? And so why is that? How come you can see yourself finding love once but not 4 times if the other 3 didn't work out? Why do we put these mitigating factors on ourselves? Because it's all self-deprecating thoughts that we have on our own. So when you're looking with the high caliber type people, They want to get out of their own way as well. They may be further down the road, but they still want to get out of their own way because circumstances, environments, situations, and conditions, they're not robots, so they become reactive to criticism. They become reactive to maybe fans that write something negative about them on the internet. They're little boys and girls that grew up, they just happen to be a champion or something.
Wow. Do you think that someone who doesn't believe hypnosis works will work on them?
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
No doubt. And, I say this with ability. It's a skilled operator situation. If somebody, took some online, course in hypnosis and got a half dozen videos, they're not gonna be able to do what I do.
Right.
They're just not as good. It's no different than salsa dancing or guitar playing or anything else, or cardiovascular surgery, right? I don't necessarily want to go to the guy and have his first patient. So you're looking for, the experienced person. The only people that can't be hypnotized are people that don't want to be. So it's not whether they believe in it or not, because it's not me over you, it's us together. We're working in tandem together to take you to a trance state. So if you were in yoga and I'm a yoga instructor and I said, now do this with your arm, and you said no, well, we got a problem, so as long as they're compliant and willing, it doesn't matter if they believe in it or not. That makes no difference at all. What they do have is misconceptions. The skeletons are going to come out of the closet. Jim Lutes is going to control my mind. I'm going to be a zombie. He's going to put me in a warehouse and I'm not going to wake up from a comatose state in 5 years. So it's all this stuff rolling around. So you want to make sure that you eliminate those misconceptions, so there gains a trust. And then, then anybody can. Analytical people. Are you analytical, Bob?
I can be. I'm typically more. My EQ is higher than my IQ, probably.
Okay, well, I'm like you. Analytical people are more difficult. You just have to know techniques to do it. Because if I say relax your left arm, and they say, does he mean arm inclusive of the wrist? Or does he mean below the elbow or above the, get all caught up in the intricacies and stuff. So they don't end up relaxing. So if you just go with it, then yeah.
100%. Wow. That's fascinating, because I've always thought that if somebody didn't believe in it, maybe it wouldn't work. But that makes sense. What you're saying is, especially if it's in concert with both of you wanting an outcome, even if they don't, how to get there, but they don't.
Yeah, but you're never really in that situation, because when I go downtown, I go out, restaurant or wherever I'm going, they know me as the hypnotist, and they'll say something. I bet you can't hypnotize me. I go, you're right. You're right. I'm not there to take on challenges, Right. So it doesn't matter. I'm on a date or I'm hanging out by myself or whatever I'm doing. I'm not there to be challenged, and create converts or believers. I don't really care, if they believe in it, or they don't. However, the upper layer, hypnosis, is merely the art of suggestion. And it's semantics and linguistics that are used. So most conversations are done analogous to snorkeling across the ocean. What happens is hypnosis uses semantics and linguistics and what are called presuppositions, embedded commands, phonological ambiguities to create a scuba diving dialogue underneath the conscious dialogue that they can't hear, or they're not aware of, like a dog whistle almost. It's there, but they really can't hear it. So you're actually talking to the subconscious mind under that layer of the normal, how you doing today, conversation.
What do you think is, what's the most incredible thing that has happened that you've witnessed that has been as a result of hypnosis?
Well, I'd have to position it. Well, I'd have to position it as a contributing factor.
Okay.
So cancer remission. Cancer remission. Do I believe in, people can Google it, psychoneuroimmunology, just by the very nature of the word, means, mind-body connection. Even allopathic physicians, normal MDs, even if they don't believe in it, they're going to accidentally say they do believe in it, because you're going to go there and say, I have an ulcer, which is literally an organic sore in your stomach. And then the doctor's going to say, well, it's caused by stress. Well, there you go. He just validated the fact that the mind creates a physical organic response in the body. He doesn't put the two together, but I said, does the mind and body have a connection? It's never been proven. Then why did you tell Lucy over here that stress caused her ulcer? And if it caused something to happen, cannot the reverse effect occur? And so that's not the crazy things. I mean, crazy in a good context that I've seen happen. But the most rewarding things, that's rewarding, but the most rewarding are watching people just get out of their own way. Because I don't know how old anybody is here. I'm not young, I'm not old. But if you live to be 100 years old and you have a line dissecting right in the middle, that's the 50-year mark. Okay. So now 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95 dead. It goes by in a blink. So procrastination is the assassin of success in everything. I should start dating again. Well, start. I should start a business. Well, start. Because I'm telling you, this is my humor. I'm not a comedian, but it's my humor for the day. As those little 5-year increments go along, you're looking at, diapers and catheters and hip replacements and shoulder replacements and feeding the pigeons in the park. So, the climbing the mountain days are getting further and further back here. So I'm always a firm believer in doing as much as you can when you can. I have an event coming up this month on the 24th and 25th called the Penthouse Mastermind at my home. It's a high ticket, small head count event. I have a woman coming, and I tear up when I think about this. And I've never met her. I'm going to meet her at my home, in the 24th, 25th. She was the first woman to reach the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
You ready for this? In a wheelchair.
Serious.
You listen to this woman and everything you're complaining about goes out the window in that split second, because she doesn't complain. She's full of life and love and happiness. And she goes, what my favorite competition is? I go, I don't know. What is it? And she says, kayaking. She's a competitive Paralympics. So she does kayaking. I go, well, why is kayaking? She goes, because nobody can tell I'm different than anybody else because our legs are inside the boat. So, wow, yes, it's hard hitting. So, you learn those life lessons as you go by, whether it's yourself. And I think you said something very well, which how you started this whole thing is brilliant, is there's so many lessons to learn from people, but we become so self-inoculated with our own delusions of grandeur and self-serving things. You're missing out on some of the not only the most incredible friends and allies and colleagues, but man, this is specialized knowledge they don't teach in college. It's sitting right next to you at the tennis match.
Right. Wow. That's powerful. Thank you for those words. I appreciate that. The idea of next level by association formulated 13 years ago when I was doing a speaking event and was talking to a group of about 50 people. And I had been kind of throughout the day been talking about some of the people that have influenced me, like Keith Ferrazzi and Les Brown and, some of these amazing individuals that have done a lot of things, and maybe they haven't done better or more than I have. They've just done differently. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always about learning from those that have done differently. And at the end, or at lunch, one of my friends says, "So Bob, what are you gonna sell at the end?" And I go, I really wasn't even thinking about it. This was just kind of a thing I was just doing for these 50 people. And he goes, "Well, you know better than that. You've got to have something else." Well, okay, you're right. So at the end, just kind of out on a fluke, I said, guys, you've heard me talk about Les Brown and Keith Ferrazzi and Jarek Robbins and all these different people. How many of you guys, if I were to hold a dinner once a month and invite you to come and sit down and have dinner with one of those people every month, but it's got to be, it's not a networking event. It's not about passing the business card, but how many of you guys would want to participate in that group? And they all raised their hand. I said, okay, now the qualifier is that it's going to be $200 a month, but you're going to have your dinner with it. And they still raise their hand. I said, okay, and that it's a 12-month commitment because we don't want people jumping in the community and then jumping out. We want some community being built, and handful raised their hand still. And at the end, I said, all right, we'll start it. So I started it. That was 13 years ago. And we've done it every month for 13 years. And because of COVID, we ended up having to not be able to meet in person. So we'd already switched to doing some virtual, but now it's pretty much all virtual, except for pop-ups that we do. And I always think about what prompted me to start that was not a design. And yet there's so many other things in my life that I've said, okay, I need to do this, but something has prevented me from doing it. But yet here in the group, here in front of 50 people, I make an offer and something 13 years later started. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the difference between those things that we plan out? And the question that we had for our team before we went live into the general atmosphere. The question we had was, what's something you've thought about doing that you still haven't done as of yet? And I think for me, I've got, a million things like that, but it's always for me, I'm thinking, man, that one day was like, let's ask this question to a group of 50 strangers and see what they say. And 13 years later, what have I missed by not doing that so many times over? What do you think is the difference between doing it and not doing it?
Well, I mean, outside of the the ultimate culmination of all the rewards, are you asking why some people do it and some people don't, or what is
Yeah,
that?
why some people say I need to do this, but they don't do it. When hypnosis could easily help them overcome that.
100%.
What do you think is the issue?
Sure. There's four primary issues. I mean, you can look at things almost statistically, because there's been millions of people that have been hypnotized. I mean, it's endorsed by the American Medical Association, the Association of Psychologists. I mean, it's not on trial anymore. And so the biggest ones are fear of criticism and need for approval. Those are the close cousins that are horrible. It's need for approval, fear of criticism, because we're programmed through repetition, traumatic incident, and authority figures. Repetition, traumatic incident, authority figures. So what is Nike's slogan? It's just do it.
Just do it.
Did you memorize that? No,
Nope.
You didn't. So get it out of your head. You can't. It is installed in your head by repetition and authority figure, Mr. Michael Jordan. And so they know what they're doing and you can't get it out of your head. So if you're a kid and you're told you're a failure, you're a loser, you're ugly, you're fat, whatever that is, then that is stored in there, and it has that resistance factor that you carry along until you get over your need for approval. Now, when we're young in junior high school or grade school, we strive with every part of our being to be accepted. The right hairstyle, the right music, the right cars, the right movies, the right these games, video games, right? So you've got that acceptance that you're striving for. Now somebody puts you in sales or some crazy idea or network marketing or something that's not universally accepted as much, and they can't talk to strangers. If I were to walk out here right now on my balcony and look this way, I'd see Mexico, Tijuana. I can see it from my house. It's right there. And so how far is that? I'd be there in 30 minutes. So in Tijuana, if you're an 8-year-old boy, you are taught to talk to every stranger you meet because our life will be better. Authority figure, parents, repetition, telling them that. You go 30 minutes this direction, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. So they're programmed 180 degrees from a little kid that's 30 minutes away, good, bad, or indifferent. Of course, there's rationale behind that, but that's why you can't shut them up. They're just out there associating nothing but positivity to talking to strangers. And so I think a lot of times if you look at it depends on what somebody believes, but, I think it's a travesty that people don't spend even a half an hour alone with their own minds. I do self-hypnosis every day for an hour. I have for a quarter century. Because today, all the stimuli, social media, television, music, podcasts, they don't have any recuperative period in their mind anymore. Even a boxer needs to rest a minute between rounds. There's no rest. I mean, when are you ever alone? So that's why I'm a big advocate of meditation. Hypnosis is similar. Self-hypnosis is similar to that. So I think that's where your intuitive dialect occurs. Those things that are swimming around in there. And the reason you don't do it is either fear of criticism, need for approval, or fear of success, or fear of failure. You're born with two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of noise. That is it. Those are sensory-based, experiential fears. Everything else, a baby is not scared of spiders, doesn't even know what a spider is. You put a tarantula on a baby's chest, it thinks it's a new toy. They have absolutely no fear until it's installed through repetition, authority figure, or the spider bites them. Now they have a traumatic incident associated with that. So I think those fears need to be addressed. If you're using hypnosis to do it, you would regress back to the eliciting incident. Could be like 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever it would be. And it was stored as a child. An adult subconscious mind has something called a critical factor that functions as a filter or a guardsman at the gate. So I use an analogy and I'll be quick. Let's say you go to a nightclub and there's no bouncer at the door. Well, anybody that wants in can come in. Good people, bad people, nice people, mean people, ugly people, pretty people. They can all come in. No, there's no restriction. The bouncer shows up. They're already in the club. So what happens on lives is before you're aged 9 to 12, There's no critical factor. There's no guard at the gate. There's no bouncer at the nightclub. So everything goes in. 9 to 12, you now have the ability to question certain things. All of a sudden, I don't know if Santa Claus is real. I don't know if the Easter Bunny is real. I don't know if the Tooth Fairy is real. Well, why are you questioning that? Because you're old enough to have enough life experience from other outside sources to question what that is. So what hypnosis does, it tells the bouncer to go to lunch, and then you go into the nightclub, i.e. your subconscious, and you pull out those things, programs, people, patrons, in the analogy, that don't serve you. You're a mean person, get out. You're a nice person, you could stay. So one of the easiest things for people to do is to monitor your own thoughts. Nobody does that. You are responsible for what thoughts you accept and what thoughts you reject, because they are generated by you. They're not generated out here, they're generated internally. So if you have that ability to sit quietly, whether you're doing transcendental meditation or self-hypnosis, when a thought comes through your mind, you make an instantaneous decision to not accept it. Don't just let them all flow in. You know what? No. You're staying out of it. You come on in. And you can just use that simple process to strengthen those thoughts that serve you collectively and in harmony, and they compound. So they almost dilute. And I'll close with one thing. Let's say you had a glass of red wine. And for this case, the red wine represents negativity. Okay? Usually not in everybody's life, but for this case, it's negativity. All right, now you have a picture of clear water. The clear water is the subconscious program that you learn to do, or you have done, or you have somebody do it. Now, what happens when you start pouring that water into the glass, what happens? That wine slowly gets lighter and lighter and lighter until pretty soon all you have is a glass of clear, pure water. It's simply diluted. You can't pour the whole glass out. People go, hey, can I come to one session and I'll be no. So you have to work on how, and you don't know how long the wine's been in the glass. So if you pour that in, and hypnosis just allows you to pour it faster. So it dilutes, and now the wine is the minimal thought process, and the majority of your thoughts are the clear water, which takes over dominance, control, and there you go.
Interesting. Wow, what a that's a unique way of looking at it. I've never heard it explained that way, but it sure makes a lot of sense. When I think about, some of my, past areas of my life where I've, been afraid to do something or haven't done taken the right actions. But I think a lot of my coaching clients that are, very, very stuck in different things. And so I have a different process to work with them. But I can definitely see how hypnosis would be a shortcut for so many people if they're just willing to do it. How do you get somebody willing to engage in something they've never been willing to do before?
When the pain is great enough to change.
Yeah. I agree with you.
When the pain is great enough to change. There's a difference between need and want. Need is I need to lose weight. I don't, but I need to lose weight. That's great. Do you want to? So if you and I have a green drink company, and we say people need to eat better, that's okay. I know people that don't want to eat better. What are we going to do? They don't want to. They want to eat pizza and drink beer all day. I know people, they need to work out more, exercise. They need to. They don't want to.
Yeah.
So we exhaust ourselves trying to get people that need to, based on our own perception, to do what they simply don't want to do. They just want to go get overweight and go party. Fine. That's their life. I'm not here to dictate what they do. So a good example is when a lot of hypnotists, I train hypnotherapists sometimes and hypnotists on how to market, because that's where they fall off the cliff, and a lot of people do. So they're out, how do you find weight loss clients? You don't go somebody up to the ice cream aisle and say, hey, I couldn't help but notice, you're morbidly obese. You're not gonna go do that. That doesn't work. You can't pillage Jenny Craig. That's not ethical. So where do you find them? So when I was doing that 30 years ago in Del Mar, I went to the Walk for Diabetes, and I left with 72 clients. I couldn't even handle them all. Why? Because they want to lose weight, because they're going to cut their feet off if they don't. They're not going to see their daughter graduate from high school because they're going to be dead.
Yeah.
So that want got accelerated to where they'll pay whatever, do whatever. I've got my driving force is so strong right now that I'm willing to do it. And so it does take, it's like, this, but it's taking a person to reach that state of readiness for change. And then they're going to have to, invest in themselves and be really ready to do it. And sadly, some people, their potential is constantly dormant, their whole life, because it's just a latent potential. They never do anything. That's why it's not about what you do or what I do or what Jim does or Richard does. It's whatever works. My philosophy is whatever works. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever gets those shackles off of you and that confidence up, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a hypnosis expert, a shaman, just do it. Whatever happens to work for you.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. I think there's a lot of times we think that our method is the only method, and yet our method may be the only method that doesn't work for a certain group of people, right? And so I love the fact that and one of the things I appreciate about you, Jim, is you're really open. You're open-minded, which is one of my criteria for people in my life, that they have to be open. They have to believe that their way isn't the only way, and their thought isn't the only thought that matters. So I've always really appreciated that about you.
Appreciate you too, man. And we live a life of, like I said, I mean, it sounds cliche, but I've done well, but I like to think everything was done by giving and not taking, and I do things for people and not to them. And if you operate that way, you have longevity, you have reciprocity, you have relationships, you have friends, you have colleagues, and if you do it the right way, it turns out the right way. But I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And my runway is getting shorter. It's not that short, but it's getting shorter, so I become more aware of who you've heard all the cliches, all you guys have, really, who do I let in my life? I mean, I don't need to placate anybody, and put on music I don't like just so they like me. I mean, so remember I used to do that with the cassette tapes or maybe the
cassette what?
Yeah, exactly. The cassette. You know what an 8-track tape is, Bob?
What?
An 8-track. I am a lot older than you. So anybody?
No, I know what an 8-track is.
Yeah.
I do. I was trying to hope that I could forget it, but
yeah, that's right.
But let me do this. We're going to close off the Facebook group. We're going to leave it here just in Zoom. For those of you that are on Zoom, if you're a member and you're watching this in the Facebook group, go ahead and click over to you. You've got the Zoom link. So click the Zoom link so that you can participate. But we're going to close this up, and then we're going to ask Jim some questions and do some live Q&A. Okay, this is still being recorded, but we're no longer in the Facebook group. We may have some of those people trickle in who might want to ask a Q&A, but those of you that are on here right now, this is your time to come on the camera. You can come on the camera if you want and ask a question or make a comment, something that struck you and that you want to share. So yeah, Jim Miller, go ahead.
Yeah, Jim, awesome talk. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of things that I'm working on now that I relate to what you're talking about. And
hold on just a second. I failed as a part of what I was doing. I told what I like to do is I like to introduce the member to the guest of honor so that I failed to do it. So Jim, about Jim Miller.
It's all going to be a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot about Jim Miller, actually. He has the same name as me. Yeah. Right away. Yeah. And he likes turtles. I mean,
and you were part of the Get Connected part, so you have a little bit of insight. But Jim is considered a leadership expert. He's got a vast background in leadership and companies and working with individuals. So Jim, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I love what you said, Jim, about releasing the brakes. That struck a nerve with me. That's something that's almost visceral for me. And I wanted to see if you could kind of expand on that idea a little bit, maybe give some examples of people that you've worked with that you've been able to accomplish that with.
Sure. Well, it has a close attachment to fear. So a lot of times we think that to go faster in life, we need to exert more energy, more time, more strength. And that's true. But however, say you're going 40 miles an hour and the brakes are on, the self-restrictive thoughts, the fear of failure, the fear of criticism, the need for approval, fear of success, then you don't need to push the accelerator necessarily to go faster. You release the brakes and the car goes faster. So you reach the destination faster by removing those mitigating components that are up here to go faster. Because if you just go and you're not reaching it, you'll burn out. I mean, you only have so much capacity to do it. So it's a duality. It retains your strength mentally, physically, emotionally, and also fast forwards you to the destination because you're not in a state of doubt. I call doubt cognitive cancer because doubt is something that's made up. Doubt can be a self-preservation mechanism. It can be something to where it keeps you in the safe zone. I doubt it will happen, so why do it? Right? And then you got to keep a close eye on two things, Jim. I don't mean this directed specifically to you. We've got to keep a close eye on skepticism and cynicism. Now, does anybody know the difference between the two? I'll give you a quick definition. You can't look it up. Okay, so skepticism is doubt. Cynicism is disbelief.
Yeah.
In other words, I don't believe in hypnosis. That's cynical. How do you know? You don't even know what it is. You haven't looked at it. You haven't experienced. You haven't read anything about it. Doubt is skeptical, and the challenge with that is that if the Wright brothers doubted they could fly, we'd never have air. And we never would. So you have to. It's nice to have a healthy skepticism, but you can't have it to the point some entity or institution needs to prove it to me, because we have that tendency, being an academically groomed society, to I'll believe it when a credentialed professional anoints it. Well, even that was made up, at some point. So there wasn't credentialed professionals in the caveman days. So at some point, everything became made up by one of us, way back when. So I think that, being you're a leadership expert, lead yourself first, of course, which you do. Other people are going to see that and live vicariously through you, borrowing your strength, to move forward. So releasing the brakes can be looked at as self-doubt in a very, very encapsulated small way. Why can't you do it? Give me all the reasons, they'll give them to you, of why they can't do the thing. And that just keeps the brakes on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Who else? Another question?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
You introduced me.
Thank you. Mike Beardsley is just an all around great human being. He's a guy who's being vulnerable right now in a transition in his life and some challenges, and yet I've just seen him be over and over again this authentic person who's able to be relatable to a lot of people by being exactly who he is and not having any pretenses about it. So I really admire this guy from the way he's handling the transitions of his life and the courage that he's approaching it with. So that's my plug on Mike.
Cool.
Thank you. So you mentioned that you do about an hour of self-hypnosis. Can you go into the difference between meditation and self-hypnosis?
Yeah, sure can, Mike. Yeah, congratulations on being proactive in the areas that he's referring to. Yeah, so they both occur in alpha theta brainwave mostly. Right now we're in beta. Alpha is in between being awake and asleep, like when you hear the birds and then they integrate into your dream. Theta is light sleep, delta is deep sleep. And so both meditation and self-hypnosis, when you become proficient at them, you're holding an alpha state, dipping a little bit into theta, but you're usually holding alpha state brain. Now, meditation is clearing, releasing, and accessing your intuitive access, your intuition, your own thoughts, or the thoughts of the universe or the quantum field, depending on what somebody believes in. You're there with no agenda other than just to have an intuitive experience and a releasing experience and just clearing the mind completely. Hypnosis, you have an agenda and directive when you go in. Lose weight, stop smoking, more confidence. You have a reason that you're entering that brainwave state. So that's really the only two differences, is that one is a directive state and one is just clearing. So I do both. I don't want to be, constantly integrating stuff. So I do both, but I can put myself in that same brainwave. One, I'm not doing anything except just getting rid of all of the stimuli, so to speak. And then the other one, I have a reason I'm going.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no worries.
I would like to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Teodora. Teodora is an amazing woman in financial services in Colorado. And I've just seen her approach so many things in life with real courage. But also, she's a single mom of an 11-year-old girl. And her love and passion for her daughter is just really, really cool to watch and witness. But one of the things I really admire about Teodora is she's tackled things like cancer in her life, and she continues to just keep a real positive outlook, but not with a polyamorous type of approach, but really with, here's what I'm going to do about it. And I've seen her do that in different areas of her life. Here's what I'm going to do about it. And she takes instruction, she takes coaching very, very well. She's very coachable. So Teodora.
Thank you, Bob. You always go above and beyond when you talk about me. Thank you. I take coaching well because I have you as a coach. So how could I not?
Thank you.
Jim, thank you so much for sharing all that. You know, something that you said struck to me, and I'm probably gonna borrow that from you. I can lend some strength to others. I can give some of my strength to others. You know, there's so many people around us that come from maybe troubled backgrounds, did amazing accomplishments in their life, and however, they don't see it for themselves. They are not thinking about them as this big, strong individual, so that they have limitations because somebody with authority, just like you said, sometime in the past, in a communist country, told them they can never be somebody. Mm-hmm. Now they're trying so hard to be somebody. And so hypnosis could help them eliminate that, right?
100%. Yeah, it could. Because back, whether you're using something called timelining or whether you're using submodalities or neurolinguistic programming, 100%. Because they're very confident that they can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, they're really confident that they can pull that off, and so, but they might not be that confident that they can become a millionaire or find love in a relationship or control that anxiety, or whatever that is. So you simply, under hypnosis is incapable of differentiating between what is imagined and what is real. So how do you pronounce your first name?
Teodora.
Teodora?
Yes.
Okay. So Teodora, speed your heart rate up right now. You can. Sweat. You can. Kick your adrenal glands in. You can. Can't do it. But if you were to wake up tonight and you had a bad dream, a nightmare, that there was an intruder and that intruder was going to harm you, you'd wake up, pop, 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 sweating adrenal glands. So why can't you do it now? You can't do it now because the conscious mind knows there's no threat. The subconscious mind is incapable of differentiating between what is imagined and what is real, and it thought it was real. So you dream in the subconscious mind. So when you program, for lack of a better term, when you program the subconscious, it really thinks it's real. And back to Bob's example of a stage show. I mean, have I ever done them? Yeah, I've done them. I did a friend's birthday party down here a few months ago, and it's fun, because I can turn them into underwear models or whatever you want to do. So all of their inhibitions and weird stuff goes away because they really think they are. So from a personal development aspect, they really think they're financially successful. They really think that they can accomplish anything they want in a free enterprise system. And you just made a point, really, really smart. You mentioned communist country, right? And so interesting thing is, if you want to know about the free enterprise system, you don't ask an American, because American doesn't know about it. It's no different than wanting to know, if you want to know about water, you don't ask a fish, because the water's around the fish its whole life. They don't notice it. If you want to know about the American free enterprise system, you don't ask an American. It's around them their whole life. They don't see it. You ask somebody from another country that sees it and go, what's the matter with all these people? And they're coming over here, and all of a sudden, I used to have a 26-year-old guy from Vietnam that came or Cambodia, came to San Diego, and in 5 years, he was a millionaire starting laundromats. He doesn't know anything else. He says, I'm going to go start some business, and so he had no idea. And so he saw it from a different perspective. So conversely, sometimes we need to look in the mirror and see ourselves from a different perspective, because we have a tendency to amplify the negatives and minimize the positives.
Jim, how do I find a good, what's the process of connecting with somebody that could really do magic with hypnosis?
If you can find somebody on a Zoom with a black jacket and a white shirt, that would be the first thing I would recommend that you can do.
Right.
Usually they're up toward the top of the screen, sometimes in the middle.
Is this something that can be done online? Or is it?
Yeah, it can be done. So what I do is the only private clients I take are friends of friends or personal friends. I don't advertise for it. I don't have a hypnotherapy practice, but I like to stay busy because I'm mostly in the seminar, event, training, mastermind space. That's what I like. But I do private clients, and if not, for some reason, I can't, then I'll point you to somebody that's competent.
Okay.
Because you just don't know. I mean, I know I'll ask them where they trained, and I'll know if they trained under somebody that is good or not. So yeah, just work through me. I know people. So if it's not me, I'll point you into somebody that would be able to do it.
Yeah, and he'll be a part of the Facebook group, the Next Level by Association Facebook group,
Yeah.
Theodora. So you guys can connect there. We'll get his information and put it in there as well, so you guys can all reach out to him and contact him directly if you want. But great question, Theodora. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Bill Janishak. He's been a founding member of NLBA. He's been here since the very beginning. The office meeting that I was talking about was at his office. He's a chiropractor in Yorba Linda, California. Hopefully he can hop on and make a comment. He's really a great student of everything about people and health-wise specifically, but he spends a lot of time studying the human anatomy and what makes people successful. Amazing friend of mine since probably 2002. Very good friend of mine, a confidant, somebody that I turn to frequently. So,
well, thanks, bro. I wasn't going to do anything because, like, I'm sitting here, and even last time it was on, I agree with everything that you said, and I master NLP myself, clinical hypnosis, and you the man. And you give really unique analogies. You got a great way of communicating with folks, and I think that's the magical thing. And I know a lot of people in the space that technically they'll have the techniques down, but everyone listening, you're looking at the expert. And I would encourage you guys to go over and reach out and work with them because of the vast talent and experience that you have. It's unbelievable.
No, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it, coming from a perspective that, knows the subject matter as well.
Yeah. And when I first started doing it, it was funny. I thought, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to, I work with patients all the day, and I might work with one or two people on special occasions to get out of it, but usually I refer things out. So I'll look you up because you're in San Diego.
I am.
Yeah. So I'll look about getting some referrals out to you.
Yeah. Shoot them over.
Yeah. Because I use NLP hypnosis every day on me and just reframing what I have to do. Because it was like you said before, you've always got to kind of reboot.
Yeah, man, we're not robots, absolutely. I mean, you definitely have to do that. And you're always tuning up, the engine, and when you have your skill sets and how to do it, then yeah, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. I mean, I work on myself every single day. Why not? Because I don't know how good I can get at this. I have people that are better at this than me and are better at something than me, and conversely. So I can't do what you're a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Let me adjust somebody. They're not going to be feeling that good. They're not going to be feeling that good after I do it.
Well, it's interesting is because that's why I started getting into it, working with NLP, hypnosis and the like, is because, everything that we come down to is stress. It's physical, it's chemical, it's emotional. And I could be the best doctor in the world and I can tune everybody in, but if they go out and you have that thought,
Right.
It still runs, the body reacts the same, whether, we're conscious of it, it's not conscious of it, whether it's real or it's imagined.
Right.
And the work that you do is actually the core. And it's what I tell everybody, you got to work on your head because that drives everything else. It's not vice versa.
Uh-huh.
So it's great. Are you doing classes? I mean, do you have group classes?
Yeah. So most of the time, like I'm doing the Penthouse Mastermind at the end of this month. Then I've got another seminar I'm going to do toward the end of summer. I'm going to probably have this incredible individual named Bob who's going to speak there. So we're going to.
I heard of him.
If you know him, yeah, connect him over. But I own the National Academy of Hypnosis, so we train certified hypnotherapists. And it's a passion that I used to have, and then I got tired of being a teacher. It was more fun to travel around the world and speak than have a classroom. I don't know, just it was more fun. But now that I've advanced along the life journey a little bit, I kind of like it now. So, so I have the National Academy of Hypnosis certified hypnotherapist. There's a lot of people looking for career transition, or they already have a certification and they're looking for another one to expand their market reach. So that's how I teach the hypnosis in terms of NLP. I have an NLP training center as well. And the only other thing I really hold classes in is 60-second rapport training, which Bob has most of this down using his own. But 60-second rapport is higher power removed. Whatever anybody believes, whatever higher power removed, everything you want in life has to come from somebody else. His jacket, his haircut, everything has to come from somebody else. So the more functionally skilled you are at communicating, the more fluidity you have through life. And if you're in a competitive environment, your competition, out communicates you. So I have the only other training I do is called hypnotic selling. Which is sounds sexy and cool, but it's the art of suggestion, persuasion, and influence. And most of the clients are sales forces, real estate, those types of individuals that want to overlay it or couple it with whatever, Belfort, Cardone, Tom Ferry, Tom Hopkins, whatever current, strategies.
What's interesting about that is, because I use a lot of conversational hypnosis when I'm talking with the patients, because once you have it's like Bob. So Bob's a magical master. And if I could think of another M to use with that, it would be that. Because if you've ever watched Bob live, he talks, and then he cuts right into the core. And I've watched patients just breakthrough. It was like a fast-paced personal development thing. But when with the conversation, because we hear things, and when you use the hypnotic language in conversation, you can really build that rapport. So again, I don't want to keep plugging you because I don't want to embarrass you, but I would highly recommend anybody here listening to this is reach out to you and take that course if you don't even go any deeper, because it's just like you said, the better we can communicate,
right on.
Whether you're using connectology, you're using, the NLP report stuff. I think it's a vital thing just for people to get around in life, even if you're a mom talking with kids.
You're right. I mean, communication is communication. And unfortunately, we communicate however we communicate. But we also, can up-level our bodies, as being, into health and nutrition and fitness and chiropractic. We can up-level our minds too, but most of the time nobody does. They know how to record a video, but they don't know how to press record on their own mind, right? They don't spend any time doing it. It's just not, our society is just not geared toward that. Some other societies are a little bit.
Now we communicate by default, and that's why you said like when I remember when Bob first did connectology, or when I first experienced it, I'm all like, bro, you mean you're thinking before you even open your mouth? What's up with that? It was like, whoever thought about thinking? You just talk and hope that something lands. So it's great. I won't take up any more of your time because I know there's probably lots of other people that want to pick your brain and your expertise, but I appreciate you coming out and joining the group.
Stay connected for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be in the group.
Thanks, brother. All
You too,
right.
bro.
Flo, I think, has something to say, maybe a comment or question. And then whoever else, raise your hand so that we know. Go ahead, Flo.
Yes. Thank you, Jim, for sharing today. Took notes, and one thing, I wrote down several questions, but one thing that you just popped up, you said there's a 60-second rapport. How much time do you think we should be spending on either our self-hypnosis or even meditation? Because thanks for explaining the difference too.
All of your Netflix time, first and foremost.
Uh-oh.
But sorry, that's a standing joke I carry around with me. So no, but definitely if you can do it in the morning, you can, somebody told me the other day, they go, I don't have time to do this. And, I've got this and this and this and this and this. I go, I get it. I go, I'm a time magician, luckily for you. I can snap my fingers and I can expand time. And they said, you can't? I go, what if I gave you 30 hours a month to do whatever you want to do? Oh, if I had that, my business would grow. I could practice self. Great. Get up an hour early. Next question.
Mm.
Mm.
Right.
I get up at 4:30. Why? I got stuff to do.
Right.
So you can, not everybody has to get up at 4:30, but so you can expand your day. But I would say if you can give it, it's diminishing amount. So if you can give it 30 minutes, you're good.
Okay, perfect.
It's
Thank
just
you.
a compound. You're going to get better and better. The ironic thing about hypnosis is that it's programming you while you're practicing. See, does that make sense? So it overlaps, and you get better and better faster than you would at something else probably.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else have a question or a comment? Yes, Alana, go ahead. You're on mute. You're muted. Nope, still muted. Here.
You're putting me on the spot with that question, Bob.
Yeah, I know.
Am I unmuted?
Now you are.
There
Go
we
ahead.
are. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jim. I also, like Flo, took a bunch of notes. One of the things you mentioned was that people are more apt to take action when the pain is greater than, I don't even remember the word you said, but when they have more pain.
Doing nothing. Yeah.
Thank you. So if I work with the health industry and I want to keep people healthy, yes, I'll work with people that have diseases, but I'd rather convince people for prevention. So it's harder to address when they don't have a pain. I use the analogy of getting your oil changed. You take care of your car before it breaks. Do you have feedback on how to incorporate that when there isn't pain yet and
Sure.
make them take action?
Sure. A man convinced against his will is of the same will still. So you can convince them, but they're like marbles. You drop them on a table, some roll farther than others, but they all stop. And so it's like, so it has to be intrinsic, not extrinsic. It has to be intrinsic motivation that is outside themselves. Because if they've never had a heart attack, or they've never had cancer, or they've never had a broken back, or they've never had, glaucoma, or they've never had anything, they're not attaching their current lifestyle to anything because there's no pain that, like you said, that's been generated yet. So the one way you can do it is everybody has a degree of vanity, no matter what they say. Most women I know do not go out without makeup, even though it has no functional purpose other than, some form of feeling better, feeling more attractive. Guys too, so, well, not with the makeup. I don't know, maybe some of them do, but, but I don't. But, so if you look at attaching it to some form of vanity or self-esteem. So for instance, if you were using hypnosis for weight loss, we would create a pseudo reality of you're going to look so hot. Imagine like when all the guys are looking at you or all the girls are looking at you, and we'd attach it. Well, the means to that end is start taking care of yourself. So they might not do it for the physiological reason, but they will do it for vanity, right? Oh, you're such a good looking guy, man. You are, we got to get you in shape. Can you imagine? So it might be attached to finding love. It might be attached to something. But you are 100% right. In the nutrition industry, and I know our doctor would agree, prevention is hard to sell. It's hard to sell because you don't have any existing situation, yet. So it is more difficult, to sell. And then imagination always overrides willpower, right? So logically, I'll be real quick. I know there's different, theories on it, but do we generally accept as a population that saturated fats and grease and stuff causes arterial plaque and heart disease, right? Okay. That's the logical mind. Okay. Yes, it does, right? That's knowledge. Really? Man, I had a hard day at work today, man. All this traffic. Bob and I are going to go out and scarf down 2 pepperoni pizzas.
All right.
Imagine, knowledge went out the window and imagination came in because we're already thinking about how good it's going to taste. And now we rationalize and justify it. We rationalize and justify not going to the gym. We rationalize and justify everything. Hey, you're overweight. Really? Yeah, I know. But well, then why are you eating that whole Sara Lee chocolate cake? because I had a hard week, and I need to, you rationalize and justify, because when you imagine how good it's going to taste with that chocolate frosting and that devil's food cake, all of a sudden logical knowledge goes out the window. So if you can attach it to something, ask me this question real quick. Ask me why I work out every day. So ask me why I work out.
Why do you work out, Jim?
Vanity. Not for bone density. Sorry. You said this is an honest forum. Okay. I could lie and say I'm working out for bone density. That's a byproduct, right? Health, cardiovascular fitness is a byproduct. I'll be honest with you. I work out because I like the way it looks. Nothing wrong with that. so my reason, my drive to go work out is more geared toward liking to be in good shape than it is with the health benefits. So where I'm going with that, if you can attach what you're doing using communication, like connectology or what I do, if you can attach a greater purpose to it, then why am I eating this carrot steak? Then you're going to be able to, to do it a lot better.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any more hands raised, so we're gonna wrap this up. Let's just wrap this up with this thing. One, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give you my cell phone number and my email and my website, and we'll do it. So my cell phone number, I'm in San Diego, is 760-214-0037. So it's 760-214-0037. My last name is Lutes, Lutes, and you can go to my website, which is Lutes, Lutes international.com. You can also Google Jim Lutes hypnosis, put the word hypnosis after it. And because otherwise you might get the artist in Chicago, and that's not me. So make sure you put a trailing keyword after he stole the .com. And then you can reach me at, let's do this one, because this is the one that I know it came from you guys. Do mindpowerpro@yahoo.com. So mindpowerpro@yahoo.com. Mindpowerpro@yahoo.com. Or Facebook works too.
Okay, perfect. And we'll put this in the video as well, below the video in the Facebook group, Next Level by Association. That's where this will be archived. So you guys can all interact there, make comments, questions. Jim will be in the group too, so you can communicate directly with him. Jim, I just want to tell you I appreciate you, and I'm thankful for our friendship and the ability to continue to cultivate that relationship. And this Penthouse Mastermind, guys, he's got a great opportunity for you guys to participate in that. And I don't know how many spaces he's got left. I know he's offered us a discount to attend. So what's the discount for people to attend this next one coming up?
Okay. Because it truly is people that I know, and I've got speakers flying in from all over the country, and it's June 24th and 25th in downtown San Diego, and it's 2 days, about from 9 to 4. We like to cut it because people fly in, they want to go out to dinner, whatever it is. The tickets are $2,500 each, but if anybody that everybody knows, if we don't go sit next to the other person and say anything, I'll just do it for $250. And the reason I do that, I'm going to, let's do a little, why did I do that? The reason I do that is because it creates relationships that are reciprocal down the road. Does that make sense? So it's a high ticket event because it's not a TED Talk where everybody gets up for 15 minutes. It's a deep dive. I've got people that are solid coming in, and they're going to speak for an hour and a half. You're going to learn. It's not just a quick jump on a stage and talk. And so we've got catered lunch and everything coming in so we can stay focused on it. But yeah, so anybody wants to come, your friends of Bob, your friend of mine, just make sure you contact me in one of those ways. And then I'll let you in for $250 as long as you don't wear a t-shirt that says I got in for $250. Then we're good to go. But yeah, I've got some it's going to be a real leveling up because as Bob speaks all over, sometimes I speak and they go, you got 20 minutes. I can't really do anything in 20 minutes. There has to be an upsell on the back end or something, right? There's no upsell. This is content rich, people flying in that are going to, give it 110%. So, it's a different styled event. The other thing you might look at, raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur of any kind. All right. Well, there you go. So if you are, I'll put it in the group, some pictures from this place. It's not about me, but you can film some B-roll out on the terrace for your own business.
Nice.
Have somebody hold them an iPhone and film some B-roll from a real cool location that you can multi-purpose later for your own stuff.
Very cool.
Because I've got videographers coming, so it's a cool location. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How many people have
23rd
ever
and
been
24th.
June 25th and 24th. How many people have ever been downtown San Diego?
Love it.
Everybody.
Love
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. It's
Just
fun.
a great
Kids are young.
environment.
Oh yeah, it's fun. All right, guys. Well, Bob, man, much appreciation. I can't wait to share the stage with you again, buddy.
Likewise.
I've
Looking
seen
forward
you
to
speak, man. You're an ace. It's so good, and there's so much opportunity. We'll put something together.
Absolutely.
Late summer would be good.
Absolutely. We'll do it. All right, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks again for being here tonight. Everyone get out there, make it a great week, and enjoy your next level.
Yeah, reach out to me. Thanks, Bob. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.